You clicked on this video for a reason. Maybe your doctor mentioned chia seeds in passing, or maybe you've been hearing about them everywhere and you're wondering whether there's actually something to it, especially when it comes to managing blood sugar and keeping diabetes under control. Either way, you're in exactly the right place, because that's precisely what we're going to talk about today. Not just the fact that chia seeds can help, but exactly how to eat them correctly. Because the difference between the right method and the wrong one is the difference between genuinely moving the needle on your blood sugar and simply adding something to your breakfast that does absolutely nothing. And I want to be upfront with you. Most of what you've probably heard about chia seeds is incomplete. People say eat chia seeds, they're good for you, but nobody explains what actually happens inside your body when you eat them, why preparation matters, or why eating them the wrong way can give you zero benefit whatsoever. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the full picture. You're going to know the 4 most common mistakes people make. Mistakes that quietly cancel out every potential benefit. And you're going to have 4 clear, concrete methods that work. Methods grounded in biology, not just wellness trends. Now, before I go further, I want to share something that has stayed with me since I started paying closer attention to blood sugar research. There is a molecule that forms inside your gut when chia seeds are prepared correctly. A gel-like substance that researchers now believe acts almost like a living barrier in your intestinal wall. And what that barrier does to the rate at which sugar enters your bloodstream is genuinely remarkable. We're going to get to that, but I want you to keep that image in your mind as we go through everything today, because it ties the whole picture together. I've spent a long time immersing myself in the research on this, pulling from endocrinology studies, clinical nutrition trials, and gastroenterology literature to bring you something that isn't just motivational, but actually mechanistically accurate. You deserve to understand what's happening inside your body, not just get a list of things to do and hope for the best. Before we dive in, if you're finding this useful, take 2 seconds right now, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video, and give this a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people like you find this content. And drop a comment below. Tell me what country you're watching from. I'd love to know where our community is tuning in from, around the world. Hold on a second. Before we go any further, I've put something together for you. It's called the Glucose Paradox. It's a free guide on blood sugar and diabetes, and you can grab it for free through the link in the description. I'm telling you this now because I want you to finish this video with a concrete tool in your hands. To get it right away, just click the link in the description, head over to my site, and drop your email. You'll receive the guide in your inbox a few minutes later. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. Let's get back to the video. Let's start at the very beginning, because I think understanding what chia seeds actually are structurally and chemically will help everything else make sense. Chia seeds come from a plant called Salvia hispanica, a flowering plant native to Mexico and Guatemala. For centuries, indigenous cultures in Central America relied on them as a core energy food. And now, modern science is beginning to understand why. The seeds are extraordinarily dense in several key nutrients: omega-3 fatty acids in the form of alpha-linolenic acid, plant-based protein, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and perhaps most importantly for our conversation today, a particular type of dietary fiber called soluble fiber. It's the soluble fiber that holds the key to everything. When chia seeds come into contact with water, the outer coating of each seed, a polysaccharide layer composed primarily of mucilage, begins to absorb liquid and swell. And I mean dramatically swell. A single tablespoon of dry chia seeds can absorb up to 10 to 12 times its own weight in water. As this process occurs, each seed becomes surrounded by a transparent, viscous gel. This gel is not just a texture. It's a biologically active substance. And what it does inside your digestive tract is the foundation of everything we're going to talk about today. Here is what happens at the cellular level when chia gel enters your small intestine. The small intestine is the primary site of glucose absorption. Its inner surface is lined with millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi, and on the surface of each villus are even smaller microvilli, collectively known as the brush border. This brush border is where enzymes break down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars, and where glucose molecules are then actively transported through the intestinal wall and into the bloodstream. The whole process, under normal circumstances, can happen very rapidly, especially if you've eaten refined carbohydrates or foods with a high glycemic index. That rapid absorption is what creates the blood sugar spike. Now imagine that before those carbohydrates arrive, you've already lined the intestinal surface with a thick, viscous gel. That gel physically impedes the movement of glucose molecules toward the brush border. It creates what researchers call a diffusion barrier, a semi-permeable layer that the glucose has to slowly migrate through before it can reach the absorptive surface of the intestine. This slows the rate of absorption dramatically. Instead of a sharp spike in blood glucose, you get a gentle, prolonged rise, which is infinitely easier for your pancreas and your cells to manage. For someone with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, this difference is not trivial. It can be the difference between a dangerous postprandial peak and a smooth, manageable curve. But here's the critical part, and this is exactly where so many people go wrong. That gel only forms if the seeds are properly hydrated before they enter your body. If you eat dry chia seeds, sprinkling them over your oatmeal, dropping them into a smoothie without soaking, crunching them like a snack, they don't have time to fully hydrate in your stomach before they move through your digestive system. They may absorb some liquid, but they won't form the thick, coherent gel that creates the diffusion barrier. They essentially pass through without doing what you need them to do. This is the first and most fundamental mistake people make. The second mistake is timing. Even if you've properly prepared your chia gel, eating it at the same time as your meal, or worse, after your meal, significantly reduces its effectiveness. Here's why. The gel needs time to settle into the small intestine and coat the mucosal surface before the wave of carbohydrates arrives. If you eat the gel simultaneously with a carbohydrate-rich meal, both things arrive at roughly the same time, and the gel hasn't had the opportunity to form that protective barrier ahead of the food. Think of it like painting a wall for protection before the storm. You can't paint during the storm and expect the same result. The gel needs to arrive first. The third mistake is one that feels innocent, but is genuinely damaging to the whole process. People take their carefully prepared chia gel and mix it into fruit juice, sweetened yogurt, or honey-laden smoothie bowls, and in doing so, they've surrounded a blood sugar stabilizer with a delivery system for rapid glucose. The chia is working against a tide it cannot overcome. The soluble fiber in chia seeds can slow glucose absorption, but it has a functional capacity. If you overwhelm it with a large bolus of rapidly absorbed sugar from fruit juice or sweetened dairy, you've negated much of what the chia was trying to do. The barrier slows things down, but it doesn't stop them entirely, and a flood of simple sugars will outpace it. The fourth mistake is one that many people never connect to blood sugar at all: inadequate hydration. Chia seeds have a profound capacity to absorb water, not just externally in your glass, but inside your digestive tract as well. If you are not drinking enough water throughout the day, the chia can continue pulling fluid from your intestinal environment. This can lead to constipation, slowed digestion, and paradoxically, a rise in blood glucose concentration. When your body is mildly dehydrated, the volume of fluid in your bloodstream decreases, which means the same amount of glucose is now dissolved in less fluid, making your measured blood sugar appear higher and stressing your kidneys and cardiovascular system in the process. Staying hydrated is not just a general wellness tip in this context. It's mechanistically essential to the Chia protocol actually working. So now let's talk about how to do this correctly. And I want to be specific, because vague advice doesn't help anyone. The first method is the proper soak, and it is non-negotiable. Take 1 full tablespoon of chia seeds, place them in a glass or a small jar, and add approximately 200 milliliters of water, roughly 7 ounces, or just under a cup. Then add a small squeeze of fresh lemon juice. The lemon is not just for taste. The mild acidity from the citric acid slightly affects the viscosity of the mucilage gel and may help slow gastric emptying even further. Stir the mixture well to break up any clumps, because chia seeds have a tendency to stick together and form uneven pockets rather than a uniform gel if not stirred. Then let the mixture sit for at least 30 to 40 minutes. You will see the transformation happen. What starts as a glass of water with seeds becomes a thick, spoonable gel. That texture is your signal that the mucilage has fully hydrated and the gel matrix is complete. The second method involves timing, and it requires a small shift in your daily routine that pays outsized dividends. Consume your Chia gel approximately 30 minutes before your main meal, ideally breakfast, since postprandial blood sugar spikes after the first meal of the day tend to have a ripple effect on glucose control throughout the rest of the day. What happens during those 30 minutes is that the gel slowly moves through your stomach and begins to coat the upper portion of your small intestine. By the time you sit down to eat, the diffusion barrier is already in place. The carbohydrates from your breakfast have to fight through it to reach the absorptive surface. And that fight takes time that your body uses to release insulin in a slower, more measured response, reducing the risk of the sharp glucose crash that follows a spike. The third method is about what you eat alongside the chia, and I want you to think of this as completing the biochemical circuit. After you've consumed your chia gel, your meal should be built around 3 nutritional pillars: high-quality protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. A breakfast of eggs cooked in olive oil with sautéed spinach and a slice of whole grain toast is an excellent example. The protein, in this case from the eggs, triggers the release of peptide YY and GLP-1, gut hormones that independently slow gastric emptying and signal satiety to the brain. The healthy fat from the olive oil further delays digestion, and the complex carbohydrates from whole grain bread release glucose slowly on their own, arriving at the intestinal surface gradually, rather than in a rush. When all 3 of these factors combine with the chia gel that's already in place, the glucose curve you produce after this meal can be dramatically flatter and more stable than a standard breakfast without any of these elements. And this is where I want to pause and emphasize something that is easy to underestimate: the synergistic nature of these mechanisms. Each element, the gel barrier, the timing, the hormonal response from protein, the fat-delayed gastric emptying, the slow glucose release from complex carbs. Each of these acts on a different point in the digestive and metabolic process. Together, they don't just add up, they multiply each other's effect. This is why the complete protocol produces results that far exceed what you'd expect from any single change alone. The fourth method is about water, and I want to give you a very specific, actionable framework rather than just saying drink more. After consuming your chia gel, drink 2 full glasses of water, roughly 16 ounces total, before your meal. Then throughout the rest of your day, aim to sip consistently rather than drinking large amounts infrequently. Your kidneys, your gut, and your cardiovascular system all function better with steady hydration than with intermittent large boluses of water. If you struggle to remember, a simple approach is to drink a glass of water every time you take any medication or supplement, using the medication moment as a hydration cue. Keeping a water bottle visible on your kitchen counter or desk serves as a passive reminder throughout the day. The target is not a rigid number of ounces, but rather consistently pale, almost clear urine, which is one of the most reliable real-time indicators of adequate hydration. Now let's talk about what you can realistically expect if you follow this protocol consistently for 30 days. The research in this area is genuinely encouraging. Multiple peer-reviewed studies on dietary fiber and postprandial glycemia, including several specifically examining the mucilage from chia seeds, have documented reductions in postprandial blood glucose spikes in the range of 30 to 40% when soluble fiber is consumed before carbohydrate-rich meals. That is not a marginal improvement. A 30 to 40% reduction in the spike you experience after every meal, repeated 3 times a day over 30 days, represents a profound shift in the cumulative glycemic load your body is managing. And cumulative glycemic load is what drives the long-term complications of diabetes: the nerve damage, the cardiovascular stress, the kidney strain, the inflammatory cascades that accelerate cellular aging. Fasting blood glucose, the number you measure first thing in the morning before eating anything, can also improve, though it typically takes slightly longer to shift and is influenced by more factors, including your liver's overnight glucose production, your cortisol response on waking, and your sleep quality. But many people who commit to the Chia protocol for a full 30 days report that their fasting numbers begin to stabilize in the 3rd and 4th week. as the cumulative effect of reduced postprandial spikes begins to recalibrate the baseline state their metabolism returns to overnight. I also want to say something about patience and consistency, because this is where people often give up. The biology of blood sugar regulation is not a light switch. It is a thermostat, and thermostats respond to sustained change over time, not to a single intervention. 2 days of chia gel is not enough. 10 days might show early signs. 30 days, done consistently and correctly, is where the data becomes meaningful, and where most people begin to feel a genuine difference, more even energy through the day. Fewer of those afternoon crashes that send you reaching for something sweet, a clearer head in the morning, and numbers on your glucometer that start telling a more hopeful story. There's one more thing I want to address before we close, because it comes up often. Can chia seeds replace medication? And the answer is no, not on their own, and not without the guidance of your physician. What they can do is work alongside your existing medical care to make it more effective. Many people find that as their dietary habits improve and their postprandial glucose control stabilizes, conversations with their doctor about adjusting medication dosages become possible. But that is a conversation to have with your healthcare provider based on your own numbers and your own history. What chia seeds represent is a tool, a powerful, well-researched, and remarkably accessible tool that you can begin using today without a prescription, without side effects, and without significant cost. Start tomorrow morning. Make your gel tonight, before you go to bed. 30 minutes is all it takes, and you can leave it in the fridge overnight. It will be perfectly ready in the morning. Drink it 30 minutes before breakfast. Build your breakfast around protein, healthy fat, and complex carbohydrates. Drink 2 glasses of water, and then do it again the next day. And the day after that, 30 days. That's all I'm asking you to commit to. And the biology, if you give it the conditions it needs, will do the rest. And hey, if you made it all the way here, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button to let me know this was worth your time. And leave a comment below. Tell me what country you're watching from. Seriously, I read every single one, and it means a lot to see how far this community reaches. You know what the problem is with diabetes and high blood sugar? Most people find out way too late, and by the time they do, they have no idea where to even start. That's why I decided to create a free guide. It's called the Glucose Paradox, and inside, you'll find everything you wish you'd known sooner. I'll explain how blood sugar actually works, and why your body sometimes reacts the exact opposite way you'd expect. That's why it's called a paradox. I've also included concrete habits you can start changing right now, even if you know zero about nutrition or medicine. It's free, you can download it in a second, and it might be the single most useful thing you do for your health today. Just click the link in the description to head to the site, drop your email, and get the guide sent straight to you. Don't put this off.